Good morning, folks. We have just about a minute before we get started. I started the broadcast. I love the fact that it tells me when I start the broadcast that I have 8 hours of recorded video to go. I think we're only going to take about 30 minutes to do this morning. And then we'll get you on your way. So it looks like we have a few people watching the session right now. I also have Maria joining us from the West Warwick Public Schools, and that's only so I'm not so lonely in the broadcast and just talking to myself. So I appreciate the fact that she joined the video call. If anyone else wants to join the Google Hangout, the link is available in the live chat window, and you can just click on it. I want to warn you that you'll want to mute the YouTube live session, or you're going to get an echo in your playback there, and that will make this very unpleasant for you. And besides, you'll hear me multiple times, and no one wants to do that. So I'm going to share my screen and get this started so we can talk about collections. So collections is being displayed right now. It's actually a curation tool from Follett software, and Follett software is runs our library management system, Destiny Discover. And so this tool is a part of that suite of tools, and it's added to anyone who has Destiny. I believe that Follett has upwards of 41,000 school districts that actually use the tool. So when you think about that, that's millions of students across the country and their teachers that have access to this new tool called Collections. So I think the best way for us to get into this is to actually jump into a collection, see it holistically, and then I'll start breaking it apart and how you access your collections, how you create new collections, and then how you edit some of the work you have in a collection. And then most importantly, I think for us in our school district is the ability to collaborate. So if anyone has questions, just post them in the live chat window, and I'll get to them as they make sense. And if Mia wants to interject anything, she can unmute herself and join the conversation. All right, so as you can see in front of me, I actually have a bunch of collections, and I am going to back out to the screen that you will see when you first log into Collections. Notice that it says that I have filtered, I have 151 public collections that I have access to. And then there are actually collections listed here from RICAT. And RICAT is the library consortium that everyone in the West Warwick Public Schools belongs to. And in fact, it's everyone in the state of Rhode Island belongs to RICAT. So we're all listed in this big district view. And then you could also create collections that are just shared with your school. And so when you log in, so if Mia logged in as a Wakefield Hills teacher into her collections and she created a collection just for the school, it would show up in a list above that. So you have your public collections, which you can access. And then there are private collections. And these are collections that I've created. And notice that some of them are actually public. So this collection called Getting Started Using Collections in Destiny Discover, I've tagged as a public collection, but because I was the creator, it shows up in my private list. And then you'll see that I have some that I've tagged for all members of RICAT, which is that overarching district view. So collections, what is it? It's a curation tool. It is a tool that allows you to curate anything that has a URL. And so when you think about that, it can be a YouTube video, it could be a Google Drive file, it could be a PDF, it could be a login to another tool like IXL or Raz Kids or Gizmos in our school district or Mayan. So you can actually take anything that you can find on the internet, whether it's something you've created, an open educational resource, or a paid resource, and place it within a collection. And so a collection in its simplest form is a great curation tool that you have a lot of flexibility over. So this is my collection on collections, right? So this is something that I want people to be able to utilize to kind of get an understanding of how collections work. So instead of them trying to locate other information on the internet, they can just simply go in, locate this collection, and utilize any of the resources in here. And I realize it's a little overwhelming when you just look at it, like what do I start with, right? So you can actually sort collections as a custom sort, which basically means I've placed items where I want them from a kind of top to bottom process. And this collection has a video here that says, start here, how to use this collection. So this is kind of like a note for a teacher or an end user on how to use this tool. And this is linked to a YouTube video. And so I can start that, and it's going to start this video about utilizing collections. So I'm actually going to end that, so we don't need to listen to that in there, and go back to my collection here. And essentially what it says is, hey, this is a collection, and you'll notice that there are tags in my collection, and that the collections have a picture that was scraped off of the internet or off of the URL that it's associated with. It also has a detail about what kind of tool it is. So this is a video. This one is a web page. This one is an article, right? So each of these different resources have different details associated with them. You'll notice that there is a explanation about what this resource is, but this one doesn't have an explanation. There isn't a set of descriptions. There isn't a description describing what the resource is. And then there are tags associated with this. So I've actually can come in here and filter across the details and any of the descriptions that I have in this collection. And notice I actually have a filter for lesson plans, and I can click on it, and it filters through my collection and shows a bunch of lessons that I've associated with this collection. So I've actually taken this collection and utilized another tool that we're working with Follett on, that's kind of a prototype tool. It's not in production yet. Teachers in the West Warwick Public Schools can use this tool right now because we're helping with the development process. But this is a link to a lesson that I want people to go through, and it's kind of like an online tutorial. I've created my own online course regarding collections, if you will. And what's beautiful about all of these tools is that we can curate them and have a very centralized place to store everything, but then we can also share these. So I can share a collection via Google Classroom. I can share it via email. I can also add people to this and have them collaborate. So if I wanted to have someone be able to edit this, I can actually allow them to edit this collection. So this is a great tool during our curriculum development process in our school district, because we can actually take any resource, curate it in a space, in a collection, and do this collaboratively with each other. So we can actually do a lot of crowdsourcing with our colleagues for adding to our collection. So I'm just going to go back to my collection here and begin to go through the process of what do I need to do? How do I start a collection? And then once I start one, how do I add resources to it, and then how do I edit any of the pieces within my collection. So if you'll notice, this collection is getting started using collections in Destiny Discover. This has all of those directions for you. So if you need to go back and say, oh, I know there's the Bookmarklet, what do I do here? You can come right into this collection and click on the video adding a Bookmarklet for collections. And it will allow you to review that as many times as you need to, or see it for the first time, or just me going over it now might be enough for you. So, so I'm going to kind of back out of here and get to, like, how do I even get to this point? Like, how do I actually get to a collection, right? And there are lots of different ways to do that. And again, in this collection, I've actually spelled out, like, how do you do that? So how do you access a collection? So how do you get there? And in Rhode Island, we have several ways that we can do that. And in West Warwick, we also can take advantage of some of the Chrome extensions that we've added to our Chromebooks, so that you can just simply jump into a collection. So I'm going to start with that one because I think it's the easiest one. So I'm going to go to a new search page, and I've been working a lot with grade 2 over the last few days on their plant unit. So I'm going to type in the word plants, and when I do that and hit return, it does a Google search. And we've installed on everyone's Chromebook the Destiny Discover Chrome extension. And when you do that, it links to your library that you're associated with. So in this case, I'm associated with the Wakefield Hills Elementary School library. And these are all of the resources that I can actually get to in our school's library. Some of these are ebooks that we've purchased. Some of them are books that you'll find in the library. And if I click on this little link here, it's going to actually open up Destiny Discover for me. So when I do that, it's going to start a new web page, and it's going to bring me to my Destiny Discover page, right? And you'll notice that it's based on my search of plants still. And that's showing up in the search tool within the Destiny Discover search. And what's great about it is it's showing me everything that I can look at within Destiny Discover. I can look at books, which are shown here. I can look at my ebooks. I can go into databases. So these are the databases that we have access to within our Follett Destiny Discover tools. These are all open educational resources. So these have already been curated by Follett and their educational team at Follett to look at what open educational resources are available. So these are actually done by tagging, they're done by standards. So they're actually resources that have been kind of already cultivated off of the web and placed into this open educational resource curation. And then this shows me my collections here. And you'll notice that it says open, but there isn't anything else here. Like, it says we have unlimited copies and I can open it, but I can't do anything else with that. It's because I haven't logged in yet. So I'm going to log in. It's in the top right-hand corner of my Destiny Discover webpage here. And when I do that, it brings me to my login for my Follett account for my school. Now, teachers in our district, their logins are their WWA and their cert number. So when they should all have that information. So it's your WWA, cert number is your username and your password there. So I'm going to click on submit, and it's going to log me in. And once it does that, you're going to see how that page changes. So instead of me just being able to look at some resources, I'm going to be able to actually add those resources now to my own collection. So you notice that what's changed is it no longer says login up here. It actually shows my profile picture. And I can actually go down here and see how it says add to collection now. So this is a book that I can add to my collection. But I'm going to go through and I want to look at some of those ebooks that we have. So I can click on See All. And it's going to show me the books. And I really want this one right here. It's Plants Are Living Things. It's a reading level of 2.3 and an interest level of K to 3. So it's going to fit perfectly with our second graders. So I am going to click on Add to Collection here. And once I do that, it shows me all of my collections that I have privately, that I either collaborate on or that I own myself. So I am going to find the collection that I want, which is this one right here, WWPS, Grade 2 Life Cycles of Plants, and click the Add button. And once I click that Add button, it's going to go through a process of adding that collection to, let me do that one more time because it didn't quite do what it needed to do. Let me add this one here. I'm going to click Add. So usually I get a pop-up that says, do you want to see that in your collection? And I'm not sure why I didn't see that yet, but we'll go on and add another item in a minute and see if we get that. So I can actually go back into my collections now and go back to my collection start page and go into, and notice what just happened. You saw it switch, right? My grade 3 biodiversity collection went into second place, and my WWPS grade 2 life cycle of plants went into first place there, because what happened is it wants to show me my latest, the collection that I've been in lately. So that was the last collection I added to. And when I do that, I can scroll down and I can actually see the books that I just added. So what that means is that those books are available and they're curated for me. So, you know, in our district, we do a lot of work with curriculum development and lesson development, and we have individual lesson plans. And sometimes it's difficult because we see a good resource for something and we want to place it in the lesson, but the lesson isn't developed enough, so we don't know where it goes. So we don't always end up adding the links into that Google Doc yet. And what this does is this allows us to kind of put this in a holding space. I could end up using it in my unit and my daily lessons, or it could just be a resource that's available for folks. So it's nice. It scraped the picture from our Destiny Discover database. It lets me know that this is a digital resource. It gives me the basic description of the book, and then it also takes the meta tags that are associated with that item and adds it as a tag here. And I can come in and edit this if I needed to. Like I can come in here and click on Edit and actually edit any part of the details of that collection. So if I wanted to add here that this is a great, my second graders loved this book, I can add that as part of the details in the description. I can also change this from digital if I wanted to and say that it is, you know, I can come in here and say, oh, I wanted this to be just a straight book, right? And then if I wanted to, I could also add an additional tag in here and put something like part of classroom library. And I can add that as a tag if I wanted to. So the ability to change the details gives you a lot of flexibility within an actual resource itself. And you can see that those changes are displayed right in my details here for my resource. So you can access using a straight search. You can also access your Destiny Discover going to our RICAT link. So RICAT is that consortium of all schools, and RICAT is just www.ricat.net. And when you type in ricat.net, and that's usually what most of the librarians have as the link off of their web page in their school, so that you can log into your school within RICAT. So you'll notice that we have our elementary schools listed, our middle schools listed, and then further down there's our high schools. So I am going to find the school that I'm associated with, which is Wakefield Hills Elementary School in West Warwick. And I can click on that and add that. I can also click on the little bookmark so that I bookmark that to my own browser. So it's easily accessible, so I don't have to remember ricat.net. So when I click on that, it brings me to the school's library page. And then from here, I can click on the login and go through the same process that I did before. And what most teachers will see, so I have a little more access to the back end, you're going to see your dashboard and your catalog. If you click the catalog link, you'll actually see a bunch of side links here. And one of those is Destiny Discover. And when you click on that, it actually shows up just like the previous page when we did our Google search. So for me, the easiest thing is to just do a straight Google search using the Chrome Destiny Discover extension so that I can quickly access the same information, basically. And from here, there's a menu bar that I can go to and click on Collections. And that's going to bring me back to my collections. And all of this is in a series of videos that is part of that collections, all about collections collection that you can access. So again, it brings me back to my public area. If I click on the See All here, I can look at everything in a list, or I can scroll through this way, right? Or again, I could do a search in here and say, gee, I want anything about plants, and type in the plants, and it's going to go through and it's going to do a quick search regarding those collections there and show me different collections that I have access to here. So again, I can see that the West Warwick ones are listed, but I can also see that this one about biomes is listed, and that there's going to be some information regarding this collection and plants. So again, great tool. Someone actually in a conversation yesterday was saying this is a lot like Pinterest for teachers, like specifically for teachers. And my family knows I'm not a big Pinterest fan, but I'm a big collections fan, so maybe I've done Pinterest an injustice.
I've been telling you that all along.
I know you have. Mm-hmm. All right, so let me go back to my collections. So I can click on the collections tab here and go back to my private collections here. So there are a couple of ways to get to a collection. So once you're here, what do you do, right? And the first thing that I think is vital for everyone is to add the Bookmarklet, because it makes the process of adding resources extremely easy and very convenient during this process. I'm sorry, sorry about that. All right, so here I am in my collections, and what I want to do is add the Bookmarklet, and that Bookmarklet is this little add to collections bookmark bar. So I click on my profile, and when I do that, it actually gives me some information about myself as a member of Destiny Discover. I want to click on the My Profile, and when I get here, I can actually edit a lot of my email, my picture, my interests, right? But what's really good is that you can add this companion tool here. It's called Install the Bookmarklet. And when I click on that, it actually shows me the directions for adding the Bookmarklet for collections. And essentially it's just saying take add to collections and drag it. And notice right now it's got this little red circle with a line through it, which means I can't let it go. It just goes back down here. But if I slowly bring it to my bookmark bar, it's going to make a little green circle with a white plus sign in it. It means I can drop it right there. And when I do that, it's going to add this bookmarklet to my bookmark bar. This is the tool that allows you to add very easily to a collection. So I am going to click on collections, and I know that I'm going to be working with kindergarten teachers very shortly, or actually I'm going to be working with some third grade teachers hopefully soon on our unit on branches of government. And so I'm going to create a new collection for that. So I just click create a new collection, and I'm going to title this WWPS grade 3, and I'm going to call it branches of government right now. But I'm going to really change that because I think it's a little misnomer for what we're trying to accomplish in that unit of study. But I'll do that with the third grade teachers. And I can put in a description, and I can keep this private right now, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to keep it private and click continue and say that this is for third grade. And it's really about social studies. And I'm also going to click the other because we're going to include some social emotional learning in this unit of study. So I want to add that tag as well. And I'm going to click continue, and I get to this point now where I can actually change what people see regarding that first slate of the collection. So this will allow me to change the coloring, right? So I think I'm going to stay with a blue. And then I'm going to click on this little picture camera here, this little icon of a camera, and there are all of these stock photos that Follett has included, and I think I'm going to go right to this We the People one. I can actually go through and look at all of the photos here. I can't exactly remember how many photos there are, but there are quite a few to pick from, and I'll select this one for now, and maybe I'll just click the create button. And what that's going to do is that's going to create this new unit of study now, this new collection, I'm sorry. And I can actually go in here, and if I need to edit it, I can, right? I can copy it. I can delete it. I can look at the activity. So if I go to the activity, it's just going to show me that I just created it, right? And I can also go in and create a PDF, and I'll show you that in an established collection in a second. So right now, I actually want to share this with the third grade teachers. So I can go in and say that I want to add people to this that can edit this. And then I can go in and put their email address. And click invite. And that's going to send an invitation to this collaborator, M. Monty, and it's going to give them editing rights. So I click done, and that has been shared with that person, with Maria, and she can actually go in and accept the invitation via email, and that collection is going to show up in her private list now. So that will be a private collection that she can actually make changes to, but she doesn't have access to deleting it. So this is a collection that Amanda Bagley started, and if I go into that, I can see that it's shared with me with this little icon here. But if I go in here, I cannot delete it, right? And I also can't share it with others. Whoever owns the collection sets the sharing activity, right? But what's nice about this is I can actually go in and look at the activity, right? And I can see that I added an item on August 1st, and I can go down and see who has actually been in this collection and things that they've done within the collection. And then what's really exciting to me as well is this ability to create a PDF. So when I actually create the PDF, what it does is it takes every single item in the collection and makes it an interactive PDF, but it also gives it QR codes. So once it goes through the process of creating the PDF, it'll actually show up as a download for me, and then I can go in and open that up. So I'm not going to wait until that processes. I'm going to go back to my collection that I just started with Mia and say, okay, now what do we want to do? We want to add items to this collection here. Go ahead.
I haven't figured out how to find that yet because you gave me access to it, right?
Yep. So you might have to go into your email.
Oh, okay.
And accept the invitation. And once you accept the invitation, then you should be able to go back to your collections and see it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, so here we are. Here's our collection. And now I want to add items to it. Did it show up?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, and I'm going to mute you again. All right, so here I am in my collection. I can click on add an item, and when I do that, I can actually type in the URL, right? I can also upload. And notice when I say this, when I go to the URL, it says add items even faster, install the Bookmarklet. And I can click on this from here and do the same thing that I did before. Go through and drag that Bookmarklet there. I can also click upload and add items using Google Drive or OneDrive. So I can use Google Drive, and we're a Google school suite for education. So of course we're going to use Google Drive. But there are many school districts that use Microsoft's OneDrive, so they can actually just click on OneDrive. When I click Google Drive, it'll go through and ask me to allow the resource, the connection to Google Drive, and then I can go in and actually go through and add resources from my Google Drive. So again, I can go in, find something that I want to add, and just add it in there. So here's an example of a PDF. If I click on getting started using collections, this PDF, and select it, it's going to say, okay, this is the name of it, right? It's a document, and I can go through and see if there's anything else that I want to call this, like a general resource. Give it a description and some tags and click add. And what you're going to notice is that it gives me a really ugly item in my collection, right? It's not really showing me like anything that I really wanted. There's no picture associated with it. It's got this camera with a line through it, right? And there are very little directions here in terms of that. So I could actually go in. So this is getting started using collections in Destiny. And I'm going to type that into my search. And this is really important for our district. So if I click here, right, I can go in and I can look at the sharing settings here, because what I want to do is I want this item to be available to everyone. And right now it's private for me. And I can put a private item in a collection. It's just the only person who will be able to see it is the person with the rights. So I want to change this and make this public on the web right now. And when I do that and I click save, it actually will turn on link sharing for me. And I can look at this by, again, right-clicking on here and say, get the shareable link. And it's showing me that this is the link here. And I have a video on how to do this as well. But now that I have this link and I paste the link in and hit enter, it's going to show me that public viewable page here. And now if I click add to collections, and this is another way that you might have to log in. So I'm going to put in Rhode Island, and I'm going to start typing in the school that I'm associated with, which is Wakefield Hills Elementary School. And I'm going to click Login, and it retains all of my login information. And once I log in, it's going to say, okay, you have this item. Where do you want to put it? Whoops. Let me try that one more time. And if this happens, then I'm going to go back to where I was in my collections and make sure I'm logged in. There we go. So, it logged me in here. And I'm going to cancel this because it didn't give me my my add button. So I'm going to click add to collections again and see if so it did. It scraped the title, right? And I don't getting started using collections in Destiny Discover. I'm going to get rid of this .pdf. And I want to add this to, and it remembers where I just was. I was in the 3rd grade branches of government. I'm going to add it there and then delete it. If I get to this point and I don't have a collection listed, I can create a new collection right from here, which is nice. I can say, oops, I didn't create my collection yet. Let's create a new one. But I'm going to click add and go to visit the collection. That's that pop-up screen that I didn't see before. The visit collection, and notice the difference between the two documents. This is a public document, right? It gives you a scraping of that picture, and it gives me some information about it here, whereas this one just gives me a camera with a line through it. Sometimes what you'll end up seeing is the login page for Google if you haven't made a document public. So I don't want this document, this resource in here any longer. So I can click on the 3 dots and actually delete it and get rid of it from my collection. And I don't want this one either because obviously it doesn't have anything to do with my unit of study here. And I can delete that. So there are many different ways for you to access collections, and then there are ways in which you can start adding resources to your collections. The easiest way is to make sure that your settings in your Google Drive are set to public so that you can actually share that information readily and easily when you add it to a collection. If you wanted to share a document that was only visible to, say, the 3rd grade teachers, then you can just put it into your collection, and the only people that would have access to it is just like any other Google Drive document, the people that have limited access to it. So there's still a lot of benefits to just keeping it private amongst a few people so that you're not sharing it out to the world. So let me go back to my collections here and just very quickly go through some of the things that we did. So we learned how to create a new collection using the Create a Collection button. We also learned that we can create a new collection when we're using the Bookmarklet and click on the actual Create a New Collection button within the Bookmarklet dialog box that pops up. And once we've created collections, we can go in and we can edit our own, or if we have access to a public collection, so I can come in here and look at Follett Institute, Lead from the Library Like a Rock Star. So if I wanted this collection and I wanted our librarians to have access to it within our own district and make it more visible, then I can come up here and create a copy of this. And once I create a copy, it's going to allow me, it's going to say copy, right? And I'm going to say, I'm going to call this Shannon Miller's Lead from the Library Like a Rock Star. And notice it gives me a number of characters that I can use in my title. And I am going to make this visible to anyone at Wakefield Hills. And so now if I click continue, I can see who it's available to and the pictures that are here, and I can click save. And what that will do is that's going to save that collection now within the list, and it will show up for teachers as a list at Wakefield Hills. So it's just another example of what you can do within a collection, because there will be some collections that teachers have started that you'll want to copy and then really just take some resources out and add your own for your own classroom. So I don't see any questions in the live chat box. I don't know if Mia has any other questions that she wants to ask, but anything that you need to in starting a collection is in this getting started using collections in Destiny. And I think what I'll do is I'll just show you one other thing, and that's the LessonMore tool that we have. So if I filter this by lesson plan, and I go into, these are, it's showing 5 of 30 items. This link brings us to, whoops, let me go back to that. This link brings us to a prototype app called LessonMore, and this is a sneak preview for everyone. Our district this is a tool that we'll be able to use. This allows you to create a kind of step-by-step process for anyone, and kind of like a lesson plan, right? Where you say, okay, this lesson is on lesson 1, what are collections, and LessonMore. Notice there's a right arrow here. There are also, there's a menu bar here. These are called slates. They're like Google Slides, right? And the first slate is just the title. And then the second one is this is an item from the collection, which is the video called Follett's Overview of Collections. So I can actually allow people to kind of go through the step-by-step process of step 1, here's the lesson. I want you to do this. And in fact, I could add a title screen that like this, that gives you instructions. So I could put some set of instructions that say, hey, check out this video. It'll give you an overview of what collections are. This says this next document illustrates some tips to keep you on the road to success. And notice that right now, everything was in this viewable window here. This, because it knows that it's bigger than the screen that I'm on, says that you can actually look at this in a new tab. And so if I click on open a new tab, it actually shows me some of the keys to mapping out your success using collections. So like this is just a visual mapping tool, right? That says, hey, identify your collections. So identify the resources that you'll need for your unit of study. Make sure you set your privacy settings to the most public that you want so that people can see it. Build your collection, and then you can log into LessonMore and actually create a unit of study that allows you to create this kind of linear step-by-step process. And I can go to the next one, and it says, these are the quick reference guides to using collections. So instead of me saying to people, hey, here's a collection, go find this resource, I actually say, here, start on lesson 1, and lesson 1 kind of lays out all of the things that I think you'll need to be successful, right? And so now I can say open in a new tab, and this is going to be the step-by-step directions from Follett. They're called quick reference guides, and you can actually go through and see that there are 5 pages of printed out instructions. So this is just a quick reference guide, like how do you edit an item's detail. So not only do I have videos of that, but there are also kind of very quick reference cards that you can look at to kind of master this process. And then the last step here is this is how you kind of share a collection. So again, it's just a quick reference guide to how do I go about sharing that collection. And then if I go back into my collections, I can go to lesson 2 here. And lesson 2 is just going to have a whole bunch of new slates that allow me to go through how do I get to my collections. And then I spell out. You can go through it in the 3 ways that I kind of already showed you. Here's the directions to going through RICAT. You can also use it by using the Chrome extension. And here's the video explanation of that. And then you can also do it by logging directly into this URL. And here are the directions for that and what that looks like. So LessonMore is really this great tool of kind of connecting collections, because then I can take this lesson and actually send that out to my students in Google Classroom. And I just blew Mia's mind. I can see that. Right. So we'll actually do other YouTube on live hangouts so that we can kind of go through the process of developing some LessonMores as well. But it is a lot. So the first step is to kind of get into collections and curate resources, and then how we could use those in lessons as well. And what's beautiful about collections is not only can teachers create collections, but students can create their own collections. So they have access to the same tools that you do. The only thing that students can't do right now is make a collection public. They can share it with their teacher. They can't make a collection public. Did you want to say something about that, Mia?
I said that's probably good for now.
Yeah, and I think teachers will be able to turn that on, I believe, but right now the default is that they can't do that. And a lot of that is FERPA rules as well. So a student's work on the internet needs a parent sign-off because it's part of their educational record. So if they, that's why in our district we have a very generic sign-off for parents regarding work that we want to publish publicly, because it allows us to really take care of that, the fact that we know that it's part of their kind of educational record. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and thank everyone who was watching, and thank Mia for all of her time this morning regarding the Google Hangout. Do you have any questions, Mia?
I'm a little overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
There's a button in under collections that says reading path setup, and I was just curious as to what that was. Do you know?
Oh, so reading path. So let me go back to share screen. So so reading path setup is in Destiny. You actually can create a reading path. So you can take books that are part of your school's library.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether they're digital or print copies, and you can actually create a reading path for a student or a group of students and say, I want you to read this book first, then read this book, and then read this book. So you can actually create your own reading path in here. So this is kind of similar to some of the tools that we have in Mayan as well. So I don't know if you can actually, so I can create test and say that this is fixed and save the reading path, and then I can go and add titles, right? So adding titles will let me go through and add books that I have available. And notice that right now, like this is saying these books are out. I can go into the location, and location means the school location. So because we're part of a consortium, this is going to list all of the books in the RICAT consortium. Once I click on location, it should actually go through and allow me to see just the books at Wakefield Hills. But I'm clicking on it, but it's not doing that. I don't know why.
All right. Well, when I clicked on reading path setup, it didn't do anything. It says failed to direct to Destiny. So that's why I asked, because I couldn't do it myself.
So that's probably a setting that we'll have to work on in the back end.
Okay.
Okay, for teachers. So Destiny Discover has some great tools in it as well that teachers really have never utilized in our school district before. Because that you'll be in it more often in collections, I think you're going to really go in and have more access to that. So we have a few folks that asked questions that I want to answer quickly. It says, where do we get our login information? So it's WWA and your cert number, right? And you can find that in Aspen. And that's your username and password. And if that doesn't work, for the high school, it might be WWH, I believe, and your cert number or your staff ID number. So if you can't get that information, just fill out an Aspen help desk ticket and we'll get that for you immediately and send it to you. So I just want to thank everyone who is watching online, and I want to thank Mia for allowing me not to just talk to myself, even though I do that often. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast, and I hope everyone has a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.